Okay, so, you guys have sent in some really interesting stuff lately.
Yeah.
Like a ton of material.
Yeah.
Really focused on like the whole science of confidence thing.
Yeah.
And we want to try to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah.
Really extract the core insights from all that stuff and
Yeah, absolutely.
Really give you guys the most useful takeaways, the things you can really use
Psychical stuff, right?
to kind of, amp up your own self-belief.
Right. We're going way beyond just think positive.
Yeah, right.
This article really digs into the actual these psychological and neurological mechanisms that actually create confidence.
Right.
It's really about understanding how this stuff works.
Yeah.
Like the nuts and bolts of, believing in yourself.
So right off the bat, the article gives us a really solid, foundation. Forget the image of some puffed up braggy
person.
Totally.
Not what we're talking about.
True confidence is they define it is this realistic trust in your own abilities. Absolutely. Your resilience and your, inherent worth.
Yeah. And they make this really interesting distinction between self-confidence, which is that overall, sense of I'm good, I'm cool.
I got this.
And then self-efficacy.
Yeah.
Which is more about your confidence in specific tasks.
Oh, that's a good distinction.
Yeah.
Because you might feel confident overall.
Totally. But then when it comes to public speaking or
whatever,
certain things,
what specific area.
Yeah, you're
oh,
nope, not that one.
Right.
And
and then also the other way around too.
Yeah.
You might be
right.
really good at something.
Super skilled at something. I'm a killer artist.
Yeah, but just in general,
Right. You feel great about yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's interesting because they make this point that this isn't just a fixed state.
Right.
You're either confident or you're not.
You're not just born with it or without it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. It's
like a personality setting.
Yeah. And they talk about, there was this 2018 study.
Okay.
That linked self-confidence to how emotionally stable you are.
Okay.
If you're more outgoing and extroverted.
Right.
But it also made it clear that your experiences make a huge difference.
Yep.
The support you get past successes.
Right.
It's this interplay between what's going on inside you.
Yeah.
And what you encounter in the world.
So it's dynamic.
Right.
It's not just
it's not set in stone.
Yeah. You can change it.
Which is a good thing.
Right. That's the exciting part.
Yes, very good.
Oh, yeah.
So our mission here for this deep dive is to really
let's get under the hood.
Yeah, get under the hood
of this whole science.
Yeah.
And figure out what are the things people can actually do to build that confidence muscle.
So where do we start with this, scientific exploration?
So the article starts off
with
the psychology of confidence.
Okay.
And they bring up this guy, Albert Bandura.
Okay. Yeah.
He's a big name in psychology.
Right.
And he came up with this idea of self-efficacy.
Yeah.
Which is a real driver of motivation and behavior.
Yeah.
And he basically said there are these 4 key sources that fuel self-efficacy.
Okay, so this is
and they're really insightful. You can really use these to understand how to build your own confidence.
So the first one?
The first one is called mastery experiences.
Yeah. Okay, so that's
So basically when you achieve something, even if it seems small, your brain's hey, you did it. It lays down this little marker that says you can do this.
Like a mental calorie.
Yes, it's like you're leveling up in a video game.
I like that.
Right? Every time you succeed, you get these experience points.
Right.
And it all adds up
yeah,
to this confidence score.
So not
for that particular thing.
Yeah. Like making huge leaps.
Exactly.
It's the accumulation.
It's the small wins that add up over time.
Yeah.
So your brain's like, hey,
you can do this.
Look at all this evidence.
This track record.
Right. I'm competent.
Yeah.
I can do this.
Okay. What's the second one?
So the second one's called vicarious learning.
Okay. So that's like,
which is basically
watching other people.
Yeah. Looking at people who are like you.
Right.
And seeing them succeed.
Right. And thinking, if they can do it.
Exactly.
I can do it.
It's like, if they could figure that out.
Yeah.
Maybe I have that in me too.
Totally. So like role models are important.
Super important.
Right.
Because when you see someone.
Yeah.
Doing something you want to do.
Yeah.
And succeeding.
Right.
it makes it feel more real.
Right. Less abstract.
Right. It's not just this abstract idea.
Right.
It's like, oh,
real person.
A real person did this.
Did it.
So I can too.
Okay, so number 3.
Number 3 is social persuasion.
Okay, so this is all about...
Which is basically the power of encouragement.
Right, like people telling you you can do it.
Right, when someone you respect looks you in the eye and says, I believe in you.
Yeah.
You got this.
I know you can do this.
It can be huge.
Yeah, especially when you're feeling doubtful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the article makes this point that has to be genuine.
Right.
Like empty praise.
Yeah, just like...
Doesn't really land.
You're awesome.
Right.
It's got to be specific.
Yeah, it has to be sincere.
Right.
Like acknowledging your effort.
Right.
Highlighting your skills.
It's so important.
It's way more powerful.
Okay, number 4.
Number 4 is emotional and physiological states.
Okay, this is interesting.
This is the one people often miss.
Yeah.
How you feel in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And emotionally
has
a huge impact on your confidence.
If you're like super anxious.
Right. If you're feeling overwhelmed.
Or just like exhausted.
Drained.
Yeah.
It's hard to feel confident.
Right.
But if you're calm, if you have energy, you're like, yeah, I can handle this.
Like your body's on board.
Right.
It's amazing how connected
it's all kind of
the physical and mental are.
Totally.
So we've got, you know.
So that's the psychology.
Yeah, psychology, yeah.
But then they go into the neuroscience.
Oh, this is where it gets really cool.
Yeah, this is where it gets really fascinating.
Yeah, because it's not just like a feeling.
It's not just some fleeting feeling.
Right.
It's actually like
wired into your brain.
Yeah. They talk about the prefrontal cortex.
Okay.
Which is like that part right behind your forehead. That's like the CEO of your brain.
Okay.
Making decisions, planning.
Right.
And apparently there was this 2016 study in Nature Communications that showed that this part of your brain is constantly like taking in information about your past experiences, your current situation, and it's making this like real-time prediction about whether you're going to succeed or not.
That's so cool.
Right. So when you feel that surge of confidence, it's like your prefrontal cortex is giving you a thumbs up.
It's like, you got this.
Based on the data.
Yeah.
You're good.
Okay.
And then there's dopamine.
Oh, yeah.
The reward chemical.
The brain's like happy juice.
Right. And the article talks about how when you experience success or even anticipate it, your brain releases dopamine.
It's like a little reward.
Right. It feels good.
It feels good. Yeah. And it reinforces those behaviors.
Makes you want to do it again.
Exactly. So you're more likely to do the things that led to that success.
Right.
And there was this 2020 study that actually showed that people who have higher baseline levels of dopamine report feeling more confident.
Oh, wow.
So it's like there might even be
interesting
a biological predisposition to confidence.
So like, you know.
But the key takeaway here is those moments of success trigger that dopamine and build confidence.
So even like small goals.
Absolutely. Like intentionally setting small achievable goals and hitting them triggers that reward system.
That's awesome.
Right.
Okay, so now for like the flip side.
Right. So then there's the amygdala.
The amygdala.
Which is like the fear center of your brain.
Right, right. And the article talks about how an overactive amygdala can really mess with your confidence.
Yeah.
Because it's like super sensitive to uncertainty, the threat of failure.
Oh, total.
And it triggers that stress response.
Right.
Like heart racing, sweaty palms.
Yeah.
You know, that feeling.
You know, like fight or flight.
Yeah. And that can really erode your confidence in the moment.
Sense. Right.
But the cool thing is, the brain can change.
The brain is plastic.
Yeah.
It can rewire itself.
Yeah.
And this is called neuroplasticity.
Right.
So even if your amygdala is like super sensitive, you can train it to chill out.
Over time.
And it's like through practice.
Yeah, like learning a new skill.
Right.
The more you do it,
the
stronger those pathways become.
The more confident you become.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
And then they bring in hormones.
Okay.
Which adds another layer to this whole biology of confidence thing.
Okay.
They talk about testosterone and how it's linked to assertiveness.
Right.
And go do this.
Yeah.
Acting confident can actually increase testosterone.
Like a feedback loop.
Yeah, it's like this positive feedback loop.
That's wild.
So even like standing up straight
Yeah.
can make you feel more confident.
Let's up. I'm going to try that.
Right.
Okay.
And then there's cortisol.
Cortisol.
The stress hormone.
Right.
And that one seems to have the opposite effect.
Right. It
undermines confidence.
Taps away at it.
Yeah. And there's this study in 2019
Okay.
that found that a balanced ratio of testosterone to cortisol was linked to higher confidence.
Interesting.
So it's this whole dance between brain activity and hormones. It's all connected.
So it's not just an abstract thing.
It's not just in your head.
Right. It's like a real biological thing.
Yeah.
So cool. Okay, but then
the article shifts gears.
Yeah.
And it looks at why some people struggle with confidence.
Even though we all have these mechanisms.
Exactly. So they talk about this idea of the confidence gap.
Okay. The confidence gap.
And they go into all these factors that can contribute to it.
Like what?
So one of the biggest ones is childhood.
Oh, yeah.
Early experiences.
Totally.
Like the kind of feedback you got growing up can have a huge impact.
Yeah.
They talk about praise.
Yeah.
And how important it is to praise effort.
Right.
And the process of learning.
And you worked really hard on that.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Not you're so smart.
Right. Because when you praise effort,
right,
you're teaching kids
that
their abilities can grow,
right,
that they can get better.
It's like that growth mindset stuff.
Right, exactly, like Carol Dweck's work.
Right.
But when you criticize too much,
or
you don't give enough positive reinforcement,
it can create self-doubt.
That can like linger.
That can last for years.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
So that distinction between praising effort versus praising like innate talent is so important.
Yeah.
Because when you acknowledge hard work, you're teaching them that they can develop their skills.
Right.
But when you just praise talent, it creates this fear of failure.
Right.
Because if they make a mistake, it means they're not talented anymore.
Right.
Right.
So scary.
Yeah.
Okay. They also talk about
societal factors, like gender and culture.
Yeah.
So there's this article in 2014 that showed that women, on average, tend to underestimate their abilities compared to men.
Yeah. And it's not because...
And it's not that they're not capable.
Right.
It's more about societal expectations and biases.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's culture.
Right.
Like some cultures value humility more than like overt confidence.
Right. You're not supposed to brag.
You're not supposed to stand out.
Yeah, so it's like...
So it's not just you.
Right.
It's also the world around you.
Totally.
That shapes your confidence.
Makes sense.
Okay, what else?
They also talk about perfectionism.
Perfectionism?
Yeah. Like this drive to be flawless can actually backfire.
Right.
Because you're so afraid of making a mistake that you don't even try.
You're paralyzed.
Right. And there was a study in 2021 that linked perfectionism to lower self-confidence.
That makes...
Right. Because if your standards are impossibly high, you're always going to feel like you're failing.
Right.
Right?
So you never get that.
You never feel good enough.
That boost.
Right.
Okay.
And then, of course, there's imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome. Yeah. Everyone's favorite.
Right. Feeling like a fraud.
Even though
you have all this evidence.
You've achieved things that you're actually good.
Right.
Right? It's like your brain can't accept it.
It's crazy.
It was first identified in 1978.
Oh, wow.
And it affects so many people.
Yeah, even
super successful people.
Really successful people.
Right? It's like they can't internalize their success.
Wow.
It's really powerful.
Yeah, it shows how strong our inner narratives are.
Right.
Okay, so we've talked about the psychology, the neuroscience,
the biology,
the reasons people struggle.
Yeah.
Now what can we actually do about it?
Right. Let's get to the tools.
The toolkit.
The confidence building toolkit.
Yeah.
So the article outlines all these practical strategies that are based on science.
Let's hear it.
So the first one is start small and stack wins.
Oh, okay. I like that.
It's about setting achievable goals.
Yeah.
Even if they seem tiny.
Right.
Because each small win gives you a little confidence boost.
Right.
And it starts to rewire your brain to expect more success.
It's like building momentum.
Right. And there was this study in 2017 that showed that gradual progress is actually more effective than trying to do everything at once.
So it's about consistency.
Yeah, consistency and small steps.
Okay.
So the article suggests making a list of 3 small tasks that you can do today.
Right. Something easy.
Yeah. And it might seem simple.
Yeah.
But just the act of completing something
and
acknowledging it can really shift your mindset.
Yeah.
So think about something you've been wanting to do.
Yeah.
What's one tiny step you can take today
right now
to get started?
Okay. Love it.
All right. Number 2, reframe failure.
Okay.
So this is about changing how you think about setbacks.
Right.
Instead of seeing them as proof that you're not good enough, you see them as learning opportunities.
Right.
Like, hey, what can I learn from this?
Yeah.
They mention Amy Cuddy's work here.
Okay.
And there's a study in 2022 that showed that this kind of reframing can reduce self-criticism and make you more resilient.
It's like turning a negative into a positive.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the article suggests, after a setback, write down one lesson you learned and one step you can take forward.
I like that.
It keeps you moving in a positive direction.
Okay, what's next?
Number 3, harness your body.
Okay.
So this is about Amy Cuddy's power posing.
Power posing.
Yeah.
Okay.
The idea is that adopting these expansive postures, like standing tall, hands on your hips, can influence your hormone levels. Maybe increase testosterone, decrease cortisol.
Right.
And that can make you feel more confident.
Interesting.
Now, there's some debate about the hormones.
Yeah.
But there was a 2023 meta-analysis in the journal Body Image that did find that standing upright can increase self-reported confidence. So even if it's not all about the hormones, just the act of standing tall can make you feel more confident.
It's like embodying confidence.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the article says try standing tall for 2 minutes before a challenging situation.
Like a little power pose break.
Exactly.
Okay. I like it.
All right. Number 4, visualize success.
Visualize success.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is about mental rehearsal. Like picturing yourself succeeding.
Right.
And the idea is that when you do that, you're actually activating the same neural pathways
in your brain
as if you were actually doing it.
Wow.
And there was a 2018 study in Frontiers in Psychology that showed that this kind of mental practice can increase self-efficacy.
So it's like a mental workout.
For confidence.
Right. So how do we do it?
So the article says take 5 minutes and really visualize yourself succeeding.
Like really see it.
Yeah. All the detail, the sights, the sounds,
the feelings,
the emotions. Yes. Create that mental movie.
Awesome.
All right, number 5, curate your circle.
Curate your circle.
Okay. So this is about surrounding yourself with supportive people.
People who believe in you.
Right. People who lift you up.
Right.
And there was a 2020 study in Social Psychology Quarterly that showed that getting positive feedback from your peers can boost your confidence.
Right.
So it's about who you spend your time with.
Yeah.
The article suggests reaching out to someone who believes in you. And asking for their perspective.
That's a good idea.
Right. It's about getting that external validation from someone you trust.
Okay. Love it.
Okay. Number 6, tame the inner critic.
Oh, the inner critic.
Yeah. We all have that voice.
Yes.
That's always telling us we're not good enough.
Right.
So the article talks about CBT. Cognitive behavioral therapy.
Okay.
And how it can help you. Identify and challenge those negative thoughts.
Right.
And there was a 2019 study that showed that questioning those thoughts with evidence can build confidence.
So it's like fighting back.
Exactly.
Fact.
Right.
Okay.
So the article suggests making a list of 3 things you've accomplished recently to remind yourself of your successes.
Like a little evidence locker.
Exactly.
Okay, number 7.
Number 7, act as if.
Act as if.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a really interesting one.
Okay.
It's about behaving confidently, even if you don't feel it.
Right.
And the idea is that it can actually change how you see yourself.
So like fake it till you make it?
Kind of, but there's science behind it.
Okay.
There's a 2021 study that showed that acting assertively, like speaking clearly and directly, can increase your own perception of your competence.
So like you trick your brain?
In a way,
into being more confident.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it.
So the article suggests focusing on projecting confidence in your next interaction.
Like a meeting or something.
Yeah, or even just like a conversation with a friend.
Okay, cool.
And finally, number 8, train your brain.
Train your brain.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is about mindfulness and meditation.
Okay.
And how they can help you regulate your emotions.
Right.
Especially that amygdala.
The fear center.
Right. And there was a 2023 study that linked mindfulness to increased confidence.
Wow.
So it's about creating a sense of calm.
Yeah.
And being more aware of your thoughts and feelings.
Right, so you don't get swept away by them.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the article suggests trying a 10-minute guided meditation every day.
That's doable.
Yeah, it's a small investment.
Right.
For big potential benefits.
Okay, so that's a lot of tools.
Right. But the article doesn't stop there.
Okay.
It goes on to talk about how confidence shows up
right.
in the real world.
Okay.
Like in your work, your relationships, your health.
All right. So you guys have sent in a ton of articles this week. And honestly, they've all got me thinking, really thinking about, all this time we spend online on social media.
Yeah.
Are we like actually getting smarter because of it? Or is it like secretly making us all a bit, a bit dumber?
It's the big question, isn't it?
It is. I mean, we've got articles here making a case for both sides, looking at how we get information these days, how we learn, even like how our brains are literally wired.
Yeah, all of that's in play here.
So today we're going to dig into all of this. We're going to pull out the really important stuff from these articles and hopefully, help you guys understand this whole social media thing a little bit better.
Absolutely. I mean, the sources you sent, they paint a pretty fascinating picture. They go deep into how social media is shaping how we think, how we learn, even, like you said, the way our brains function. There are no easy answers here.
Yeah.
But by taking a good look at all these different angles, I think we can get a much clearer picture. So, let's jump in.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so first up, let's tackle the arguments saying social media could actually be making us smarter. One of the biggest points that keeps popping up in these articles is this idea of access to information. Like, think about it. Twitter, Facebook, even Reddit, they're constantly throwing news at us, research findings, all sorts of educational stuff, and it's all happening in real time.
Right.
It's a completely different world from how things used to be, waiting for the newspaper or the evening news.
Oh, absolutely. It's like night and day. What social media has done is it's leveled the playing field when it comes to knowledge. We used to rely on these gatekeepers, universities, publishers, big media companies.
Right.
They control the flow of information. But now with platforms like YouTube, LinkedIn Learning, anyone can teach, anyone can learn on practically any topic you can imagine.
Totally. And you know what else is interesting? It's not just about passively absorbing all this information. Some of these articles argue that social media is actually pushing us to think more critically.
Yeah.
Like when you're constantly seeing different opinions on platforms like Quora or Reddit, even getting into those heated online debates, it forces you to sharpen your analytical skills.
It's true. You're forced to confront different viewpoints, and that can be uncomfortable. But it also pushes you to examine your own beliefs.
Right.
You start to question why you believe what you believe, and you look for evidence to support your arguments. That constant back and forth, that intellectual friction, can really strengthen your critical thinking muscles.
And we can't forget about citizen journalism and social movements.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Social media has given a voice to people who were often silenced in the past. It's allowed them to challenge official narratives, hold powerful institutions accountable.
Yeah.
It's forced us to think more critically about the information we're consuming, to question who's telling the story and why.
Another point that articles bring up that I thought was really fascinating is this idea that social media might actually be improving our communication skills. Now, I know that might sound kind of counterintuitive, right?
Okay.
Given how short and sometimes kind of superficial online interactions can be.
Right.
But think about it. On apps like WhatsApp, Discord, even when you're blogging on Medium or Substack, you're constantly writing, trying to express your thoughts clearly and concisely.
That's a great point. It's like a constant writing workshop. You're getting feedback.
Yeah.
You're refining your arguments. You're learning how to connect with your audience. And those character limits on some platforms, they actually force you to be more creative with your language.
Yeah.
To think carefully about every word you choose. It's a different kind of literacy, but it's definitely valuable in today's world.
Absolutely. Okay, and finally, on the social media makes you smarter side of things, the articles point to it being a powerful tool for learning. I mean, we've got educational influencers with huge followings.
Yeah.
Institutions like Coursera, ADX, Khan Academy, offering incredible free resources online. And the way teachers and students are connecting in virtual spaces, it's opening up all these new possibilities for education.
It's really incredible. Social media has made education more accessible than ever before. You can learn from experts all over the world, connect with other learners, and get personalized feedback. And the best part is, a lot of these resources are completely free.
It's pretty amazing. Okay, so We've talked about the potential benefits of social media, but now we got to flip the script and look at the arguments suggesting it might actually be making us less intelligent.
Right.
And honestly, some of this stuff is a bit worrying when you start thinking about your own habits. So the first big point is this idea of shortened attention spans. The sources are basically saying that this constant stream of notifications, these bite-sized videos and posts, all this instant gratification, it's actually rewiring our brains, making it harder for us to focus, to do deep reading, to really engage with complex ideas. And a lot of the articles bring up Nicholas Carr's book, The Shallows, where he argues that the internet is actually changing the way we think.
It's a pretty sobering thought, isn't it?
It is.
The design of these platforms, the way they're constantly feeding us new information, it's like a dopamine slot machine. And it's training our brains to crave novelty and quick hits of satisfaction. But, deep thinking, critical analysis, those things require sustained attention. And that's something we seem to be losing.
Yeah, think about it. Have you ever tried to read a long article or a book after spending an hour scrolling through your social media feed?
Right.
It's hard, right?
It is. You feel that pull to check your phone, to get that next hit of stimulation. It's a real challenge.
And then there's the whole issue of misinformation and fake news, which honestly feels like a bigger and bigger problem every day.
It's a huge problem. And the algorithms on these platforms, well, they're often designed to promote engagement, not accuracy. So sensationalized content, even if it's totally false, it gets more clicks, more shares, and it spreads like wildfire.
Exactly. And now we've got deep fakes and AI-generated content, which makes it even harder to tell what's real and what's not.
Yeah, it's getting tougher and tougher, even for people who are really media savvy. And the scary thing is, once misinformation takes hold, it can be incredibly difficult to correct.
It really can. Another thing the articles touch on, which I think is really important, is the potential decline in face-to-face communication skills. If we're spending so much time interacting online, are we losing some of those subtle cues that are so crucial in real-life conversations?
Right, like body language, tone of voice, all those nonverbal signals that tell us so much about what someone's really thinking or feeling.
Exactly.
Social media allows us to connect with people all over the world, which is amazing. But it's important to remember that it can't fully replace those rich face-to-face interactions where we can truly connect on a deeper level.
And then finally, there's the whole issue of echo chambers and polarization, which, let's be honest, is something we've probably all experienced online. The way these algorithms work, they tend to feed us content that aligns with our existing beliefs.
Right, they create these filter bubbles where we're only exposed to information that reinforces what we already think. And that can lead to confirmation bias, where we become even more entrenched in our own perspectives and less open to different viewpoints.
Yeah, and that's not good for anyone.
It's not. It makes it harder to have productive conversations, to find common ground, to understand where other people are coming from. And it can contribute to the divisions we're seeing in society.
Absolutely. So we've talked about the potential benefits and risks of social media, but the articles also delve into some of the underlying mechanisms at play here, the ways these platforms are affecting us on a psychological and neurological level. And honestly, it's kind of scary. It seems like they're designed to be addictive.
It's true. The use of variable rewards, those unpredictable likes and notifications, it triggers those dopamine pathways in our brains, and that keeps us coming back for more. It's the same kind of mechanism that drives gambling addiction.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way, but it makes sense.
And it can lead to some pretty unhealthy behaviors, compulsive scrolling, difficulty focusing on other tasks, even feelings of anxiety and depression, especially for younger users who are even more susceptible to these kinds of things.
It's definitely something to be aware of. And then, bringing it all back to education, the articles acknowledge that social media has changed how learning happens, especially for younger generations. You've got platforms like YouTube and TikTok where you can find all sorts of educational content. But the problem is, how do you know what's credible?
Right. It's this wild west of information, and it can be really tough to separate fact from fiction.
Yeah.
That's why digital literacy is so important.
Yeah.
We need to teach young people, and honestly, all of us, how to evaluate sources, how to think critically about the information they're consuming, how to spot misinformation. Otherwise, they're just going to get swept away in this tide of unreliable content.
So it seems like the big takeaway here is that social media's impact on our intelligence is really complicated. It's not a simple case of making us smarter or dumber. It's both. And the outcome really depends on how we use these platforms.
I think that's a great summary. Social media has this incredible potential to connect us, to educate us, to empower us. but it also has the potential to distract us, to mislead us, to even harm us.
So what can we do about it? Well, the articles offer some really practical advice. First, be mindful of your consumption habits. Pay attention to how much time you're spending on social media, what kind of content you're engaging with, and how it makes you feel.
Absolutely. And be a critical consumer of information. Fact check everything before you share it, especially if it seems too good to be true or if it confirms your existing biases.
Yeah. And engage in meaningful conversations. Seek out different viewpoints, challenge your own assumptions, and really try to understand where other people are coming from.
I love that. And don't forget to take breaks. Limit your screen time, give your brain a chance to rest and recharge, and make sure you're getting enough face-to-face interaction in the real world.
Right. And finally, diversify your content sources. Don't just rely on your social media feeds for information. Read books, listen to podcasts, seek out different perspectives, and challenge those filter bubbles that the algorithms are trying to create.
I think that's a great place to leave it. It's up to each of us to make sure that social media is a force for good in our lives.
It really is. So here's a final question for you to think about. As you go back to your, probably your social media feeds, what can you do to make sure your online experience is enriching you, not diminishing you?
It's a question worth pondering.
It is. It really is. Okay, everyone. You know that feeling, don't you? That moment when, whatever you're working towards, that big career goal, that personal project that, once got you so fired up.
Yeah.
Even just getting through a day that feels like wading through mud suddenly just seems impossible. And that voice in your head starts whispering about just stopping.
Oh, yeah.
We've all been there.
Absolutely. We all have. And, that's exactly what we're going to be digging into today.
Okay.
So forget those rah-rah pep talks.
Yeah.
We're not about that.
Oh.
We've actually gone through all the material you showed.
Yeah.
Let's just call it your pasted text for now.
Perfect.
To really understand what's actually going on when they get up and go, just gets up and goes.
It really does.
More importantly, we want to give you some real solid strategies, like a real toolkit to find that spark again.
Exactly. Because motivation, it's not a bonfire, is it?
Yeah.
It's not just this endless burning fire.
It flickers.
It flickers. Yeah, sometimes it's blazing. Other times it's just embers. So in this deep dive, our goal is to give you those insights to fan those embers back into a flame.
That's right.
And we're going to do that when you need it most?
Yes.
So why does this happen?
Well, so I think we need to unpack why that initial burst of energy that we get often fades.
Okay.
And your sources actually touch on this.
Yeah.
When we begin something new, there's this rush of dopamine in the brain.
Yeah.
Right? And this is this neurochemical that makes us feel good, excited, optimistic.
Right.
Think about that buzz that you get at the very start of a new project.
Yeah, that initial thrill.
Right.
But that doesn't last, does it?
Well, any really intense feeling that dopamine surge isn't sustainable over the long term.
It's not.
As soon as that novelty kind of wears off, as soon as we hit a snag a challenge, that chemical high dips. And what felt exciting now feels like effort.
Yeah, like a drag.
Yeah, just a bit of a drag.
Yeah.
And then think about the impact of setbacks as well.
Okay.
Like a rejection, a failure, just the sense that you're not making any headway. One of your sources actually brought up this concept of learned helplessness.
Okay.
Which is essentially if we experience these repeated failures, we start to think, well, actually, our efforts don't matter.
Right.
So why bother trying?
Yeah, it can feel pointless, can't it?
It can feel pointless, and it's a very powerful demotivator.
It really is. And then you've got the everyday stuff as well, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
You've got deadlines, you've got money worries.
Absolutely.
You might even have people in your life who are not exactly supporting you.
Yeah, exactly. Shall we say they're not fueling our fire?
Yeah. Yeah, and all of that can really amplify that urge to just quit.
Absolutely. I mean, time constraints, financial strain, not having a support system.
Yeah.
These are big drains on our motivation.
They really are.
It's amazing what people manage to do, even with all of that stuff going on.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and this is really key from your materials.
Mm-hmm.
Motivation isn't just some random emotion that shows up or doesn't.
Okay.
It's more like a muscle. It's a skill that can be developed and strengthened by understanding what drains it and what fuels it.
Okay, so we're clearer now on why we feel demotivated, but how do we put the brakes on how do we climb back up that hill.
Yeah.
So the first tool that I'm seeing here in your motivation toolkit is to re-examine your why.
Pre-examine and reframe.
Okay.
Because this is really your anchor, your foundation. The reason that you started doing this in the first place.
Okay.
And when those inevitable tough times hit, this is what keeps you connected to your goal.
But it's not enough just to have a why, is it?
No. It's not enough just to have this vague idea.
You've got to really...
You need to revisit it.
Revisit it, yeah, and be specific about it.
Exactly. And your materials really stress the power of getting very specific.
Yeah.
They even gave a great example, actually.
Full on.
Of shifting from, I want to lose weight. Yeah. Which is quite a general thing.
It is very general.
To, I want to lose weight so I can play with my kids in the park without getting winded.
Oh, wow.
So it's connecting it.
Yeah.
To something really specific.
It makes it more compelling, doesn't it?
It makes it tangible. It makes it emotionally significant.
Right.
It connects the present struggle with the outcome.
Yeah.
And research shows that having a clear purpose leads to greater resilience.
Okay, so the actionable step here is to sit down, think about your why.
Yes.
Write it down in detail. Yeah. And then make it visible.
Make it visible. Put it somewhere where you'll see it all the time.
Oh, okay.
On your bathroom mirror as your screensaver, on your phone, whatever works for you.
Yeah.
And it's not static.
Right.
As you grow and your goals change, your why can evolve as well.
Yeah.
The key is to maintain that connection with it.
Okay, so we've got our why. We know why we're doing it.
Yes.
How do we break it down, though? Because sometimes it just feels too big.
Right. Well, this is the second key strategy from your sources. Break down these big, daunting goals into small, manageable steps, otherwise known as micro goals.
Okay.
Because feeling overwhelmed can be a real motivation killer.
Yeah.
You just think it's so far off, I don't even know where to begin.
I don't know where to start.
And it leads to this kind of paralysis.
I know that feeling so well.
I bet you do.
Yeah. It's like staring at a blank page when you've got to write a novel.
Yes, exactly.
Or a blank canvas when you've got to paint a masterpiece.
Exactly.
Where do you even start?
Well, the solution is to take that big objective and break it down into these tiny, actionable pieces.
Okay.
So instead of write a book, the micro goal would be write 200 words today.
Okay. Yeah.
Instead of run a marathon, the micro goal is run 1 mile without stopping.
I can do that.
Exactly. And they're tangible. They're achievable in the short term.
And you get those small wins, don't you?
Yes, you do. You get these small wins.
And each time you accomplish one, it gives you that little boost of dopamine.
Yes, exactly. They're like positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
And your sources talk about acknowledging and celebrating those wins.
Okay.
You finish those 200 words.
Yeah.
Take a break. Have a reward. Your brain responds to that.
And they all add up, don't they?
They do. They really do. And that cumulative effect of all these small steps is really significant.
Okay. So we've got our why we're breaking things down. What's next?
Well, I think the next thing is embracing the power of routine.
Okay.
Because let's be honest, relying solely on feeling motivated is about as dependable as the weather forecast.
You're not wrong there.
Your mood, your energy levels, they fluctuate.
Yeah.
If you only act when you feel motivated, you're going to be stopping and starting all the time.
So we need to establish habits.
We need to establish consistent habits.
Okay.
They provide the structure that doesn't depend on your feelings.
So what do we pick one thing?
Pick one consistent action that supports your goal.
Okay.
And commit to doing it regularly.
Okay. So for example, what could we do?
Well, you could dedicate 5 minutes each morning to language practice. Or you could spend 10 minutes stretching before bed.
Okay. So small things, but regularly.
Exactly. Consistency, even in small doses, trumps sporadic intensity.
Okay.
James Clear talks about this in Atomic Habits, which your sources referenced.
Yeah.
These habits, they compound over time and lead to remarkable progress.
So 5 minutes every day might not feel like much.
No.
But over a year, it could lead to something big.
Yeah, exactly. And the sources also talk about habit stacking.
Okay.
Which is essentially linking the new habit to an existing habit.
Right.
So for example,
yeah,
right after I brush my teeth in the morning, I will do my language practice.
Right.
So it piggybacks on something you already do.
Right.
So your brain doesn't even have to think about it.
Yeah.
It just becomes the next step.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
So even when your motivation dips, your routine will carry you forward.
Okay. So we've talked about we've talked about breaking things down. We've talked about habits, but sometimes that urge to quit isn't about lack of drive. It's about fear of failure.
It is.
It's like we're trying to protect ourselves.
Yes, absolutely.
From being disappointed.
Yeah. The anxiety of putting in all that effort and then not achieving what you want can be very powerful.
It can.
That little voice in your head is saying, what if you try your hardest and you still fail?
Yeah, what if I'm just not good enough?
Exactly.
And then you just don't even start.
Yeah, it's a way of avoiding confronting that failure.
But the thing is, and your sources really highlight, this failure is part of success.
It is.
It's not the opposite.
Right.
It's like a stepping stone.
It is.
Think about all the people who have achieved great things.
Exactly.
They've all failed.
They've all had setbacks along the way.
Yeah. J.K. Rowling, she got tons of rejections before Harry Potter was published.
And Thomas Edison had loads of failed light bulbs.
So many light bulbs.
Yeah, exactly.
So failure is actually feedback.
Yes.
It's a way to learn.
It is.
Not a judgment on you.
Exactly. Your sources encourage us to reframe these setbacks as data points.
Okay.
So you didn't meet a sales target.
Yeah.
Analyze why a presentation didn't resonate.
Yeah.
Get some constructive criticism.
Right.
When you view failure as a teacher, it takes away its power.
It does. And also, what's the regret gonna be?
Yeah.
If I quit now because I'm scared of failing, I might regret that later.
Right.
What if I had just kept going?
Exactly.
So sometimes that fear of not even trying is bigger than the fear of failure.
Absolutely. And that leads us to this fifth strategy.
Right.
Which is the importance of who you surround yourself with.
Oh, yeah. Your people.
Yeah. Your people. We're social beings. We're influenced by our environment and the people we spend time with.
You know, if you're around people who are negative or discouraging, it's really hard to stay positive.
It is.
But if you're around enthusiastic and supportive people, it can really lift you up.
It can, and this isn't just anecdotal.
Right.
Your sources actually reference the Framingham Heart Study.
Okay.
Which remarkably demonstrated that things like happiness and even motivation can spread through social networks.
Oh, wow.
So it's like contagious positive energy.
So we need to really think about who we're spending time with.
Yeah. Take stock of your social circle.
Yeah.
Who encourages you.
Yeah.
Who celebrates your progress.
Yeah.
And who is critical or discouraging. Yeah. And you don't have to cut people off.
Right.
But prioritize your time with the good people.
Okay. And what about finding people who are working towards similar goals?
Yes. Find your tribe.
Yeah.
You know, online forums, local clubs, workshops, connect with people who have similar aspirations.
It's really good to not feel alone, isn't it?
Yeah, you get that camaraderie.
Yeah.
You can share your experiences and learn from each other.
Yeah.
You're less likely to feel isolated.
Okay, so that's the people we surround ourselves with. What about the voice in our head?
Ah, yes, the inner critic.
Yeah, because often that's the biggest barrier, isn't it?
It can be.
It's not even external, it's internal.
Yes, that internal voice can be very powerful.
Yeah.
And it can be a source of so much negativity.
Yeah, and especially when you're already feeling demotivated.
Yes.
It's like it just gets louder and it makes you doubt yourself.
Yeah.
It criticizes you and it just tells you to quit.
It says give up.
So how do we quiet that voice?
Well, the first step is to become aware of it.
Okay.
Notice that you're doing it.
Okay.
And your sources say don't try and suppress it.
Right.
Because that can backfire.
It can.
But notice the thoughts without judging them.
Okay.
Just observe them.
Right.
Like clouds passing in the sky.
Okay.
Then you need to challenge them.
Right.
If it says you're going to fail, counter it with something more positive.
Like, I've got this.
Yeah, I've done this before.
I can learn from my mistakes.
I can improve.
Okay, so I'm consciously reframing it.
Yes, and your sources also talk about third-person self-talk.
Okay.
Which is really interesting.
What's that?
Well, instead of saying to yourself, I can do this.
Yeah.
Try saying, you've got this.
Oh, right. You've got this.
Yeah. Research by psychologist Ethan Kross suggests that this creates a psychological distance which reduces stress and actually boosts your resolve.
So it's like you're giving yourself advice.
Exactly. It's like getting advice from yourself, but from a more objective place.
Okay. I like that.
Okay. So we've talked about reframing our thoughts.
Yeah.
And that leads us quite nicely onto this next strategy from your sources, which is rest, don't quit.
Rest, don't quit.
Because sometimes that urge to give up is actually your body and mind telling you they need a break.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah, you're exhausted.
Yeah.
You need to rest.
But that's not a weakness, is it?
It's not. It's essential.
Okay.
Rest is a strategic necessity.
Okay, I like that.
If you push yourself relentlessly when you're burnt out, you're going to be counterproductive.
Okay, so what do we do? Schedule breaks?
Yeah, schedule breaks even before you feel completely depleted.
Right.
Use techniques like the Pomodoro technique, working in intervals with regular breaks, even just stepping away for a few minutes to move around. clear your head
Okay.
can make a big difference.
And if I'm properly burnt out.
If you're in a deeper state of exhaustion,
Yeah.
take a longer break,
Okay.
a day off a weekend
Right.
to disconnect and recharge.
Oh.
And you'll find when you return,
Yeah.
you'll have a fresh perspective.
Okay. So now that we're feeling refreshed, your sources talk about the power of visualization.
Yes.
And not just the finish line,
No.
but the journey.
The journey as well.
So this is more than just wishful thinking then.
It's more than just wishful thinking.
Okay.
There's a real psychological impact. Visualization helps to make your goals feel more tangible, more attainable.
Okay.
Research in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology shows that vividly imagining a successful outcome enhances your motivation and your belief in your ability to achieve it.
So picture yourself having achieved the goal.
Yes.
How does that feel?
Exactly.
Okay, but also picture the steps along the way.
Yes. Visualize the process.
Okay.
Mentally rehearse taking those steps, overcoming obstacles, getting those small wins.
So it makes it feel less abstract and more real.
It makes it feel more within your control.
Okay, so we've got the visualization. What about actually tracking our progress?
Yes, that's a really good one.
It's practical, isn't it?
It is very practical.
But sometimes it's easy to forget to do it.
It is.
And it's really easy to feel like you're not getting anywhere.
Yeah, if you don't have a way to measure it.
If you don't see it.
Yeah.
So track your progress.
Track your progress.
However you want to do it.
Yeah, whether it's through a journal, a spreadsheet, a visual chart.
Yeah.
Whatever works for you.
It's really good to have that visual, isn't it?
It is, because it provides concrete evidence of your efforts and your achievements, no matter how small.
Even the tiny things.
Yes, because seeing those numbers increase, seeing that to-do list shrink can give you a real boost.
It can.
It's a tangible reminder that you are moving forward.
And it also keeps you accountable, doesn't it?
It does, because you can see what's working and what's not.
And it's harder to quit when you can see how far you've come.
It is.
Okay, so final strategy.
Yes.
Accepting that it's okay to pivot.
Yes.
Because sometimes that urge to quit means that the goal is no longer right for us.
Exactly.
Maybe things have changed.
Life changes.
Or our priorities have changed.
Your values, your desires, they evolve.
Yeah, and if we're holding on to a goal that's no longer right for us, it can be really demotivating.
It can be.
So sometimes we need to let go.
Sometimes we need to change direction.
And that's not failure, is it?
It's not. It's self-awareness.
Yeah.
It's courage.
Yeah.
It's strength.
It's growth.
Yeah.
So it's not giving up.
No.
Is having the wisdom to know when something's not right anymore.
Yes.
And the courage to redirect our energy.
Exactly.
So if you're in a job that is making you unhappy, it's okay to leave.
It is.
Or if you've had a passion for something for years, but it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
It's okay to move on.
Yes, these are acts of self-respect.
And we deserve to be fulfilled, don't we?
We do.
So there we have it, the complete motivation toolkit.
Yes.
We talked about reconnecting with your, breaking down goals, building routines, reframing failure, surrounding yourself with the right people, mastering your inner dialogue, using rest visualization, tracking your progress, and pivoting when you need to. And the key message here is that motivation, it's not something you're born with or without.
No.
It's a set of strategies that anyone can learn.
Yes.
So the next time you feel like giving up, remember, you don't have to use all of these at once.
Oh.
Just pick one.
Pick one that resonates with you in that moment.
And give it a go.
Yeah. And often just taking that first step forward is enough
to reignite that spark.
Exactly.
And motivation often follows action.
It does.
We don't have to wait to feel motivated to start.
You don't.
We just need to start.
And you will start to feel more motivated.
And think about the benefits of pushing through. You build resilience.
Yeah.
You cultivate grit.
Yes.
And you develop confidence.
Confidence in your ability to achieve your goals.
So think about people who you really admire, who've achieved great things. Their journey wasn't always easy, was it?
No, it probably wasn't.
They had setbacks. They had doubts.
Yeah.
But they kept going.
They persevered.
And you can too.
Yes, you can.
The only difference between you and them is time and persistence.
That's all. So keep going. Keep fanning those flames.
You've got this.
You've absolutely got this.
All right. Welcome to the deep dive, everyone. You know the drill, right? We get right to the good stuff here, the insights you're looking for, the stuff that really matters. And today, Oh boy, we're going deep, deep on something I know a lot of you are thinking about, talking about, maybe even a little worried about. The future of work. And specifically, this whole AI revolution that's happening.
Yeah, it's definitely a hot topic, no doubt about it. And for good reason.
For good reason. You sent over this article, The Future of Work, How AI Will Change Everything, which, pretty bold title, but I think it gets at something a lot of us are feeling, like there's something big shifting.
For sure.
And our goal today, our mission, is to break this down for you. We're pulling out those key takeaways, the stuff you really need to know about how AI will affect jobs, the skills you're going to need, and what it all means, practically speaking, for your career. We're cutting through the hype and honestly, sometimes the fear-mongering to give you those aha moments and that clarity you came here for.
Exactly. I think what's really interesting about the article you shared is that it tackles both sides of the AI coin. On one hand, yeah, there's the fear of job displacement, but on the other, there's immense potential for growth and efficiency, unlike anything we've really seen before.
Okay, so let's jump in. The big picture is, I think we can all agree, pretty massive, right? AI is not some distant future tech anymore. It's now. It's reshaping entire industries, global economies even, like right before our eyes.
Right. And it's touching every part of our lives in some way.
It really is. I mean, think about it. From the way we shop online, to the healthcare we receive, to how things are made and transported around the world, to the financial markets. It's kind of mind-blowing when you step back and see how pervasive it's becoming.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the challenges too, right? Wrapping our heads around this massive shift that's happening. That's why I appreciate this article, because it gives us a framework to understand what's going on.
Exactly. So let's get specific. How is AI actually changing things on the ground?
Okay, well, let's start with industries where we're already seeing some really tangible impacts. Manufacturing is a prime example, right? Robots and AI-powered systems are making production lines much more efficient. Reducing human error and, even predicting when a machine might break down before it happens.
It's like a whole new level of efficiency.
Exactly. And the article calls these smart factories. It's a pretty good way to describe it. They're using machine learning, basically AI that learns from data, to optimize the entire production process. For example, predictive maintenance. The AI analyzes data coming from sensors on the machines, things like temperature, vibrations, and it can actually spot these subtle patterns that would be nearly impossible for a human to notice. So it can actually predict when maintenance is needed before a piece of equipment fails. So what does that mean? Less downtime, less cost, fewer disruptions in the whole supply chain.
And we all benefit from that, right? More efficient manufacturing, lower costs, hopefully. Okay, so it's not just the factory floor. I mean, retail and e-commerce, I feel like I'm seeing this every day. Personalized recommendations when I'm online shopping, inventory management that actually makes sense. The stuff I want is actually in stock when I order it. And those chatbots popping up everywhere to answer my questions 24/7.
Yeah. And those chatbots are getting more sophisticated all the time, right? It's often AI powering those interactions. And what's interesting there is that it's providing a more personalized experience for the shopper while also streamlining things for the business. Those chatbots can handle a lot of the routine questions, freeing up human customer service agents to focus on the more complicated issues, the ones that require, a bit more empathy or a human touch.
Right.
Have you found yourself, surprised by a chatbot recently that actually helped you get something done quickly?
Yeah, sometimes, I have to admit, it's not always perfect, but when it works, it's kind of amazing. Right. Healthcare, this was another area that really jumped out at me in the article. I mean, AI helping doctors diagnose patients from medical images, robotic surgery becoming increasingly common, personalized treatment plans based on huge amounts of patient data. It feels like healthcare is on the verge of some pretty radical changes thanks to AI.
It is. It's already happening.
Yeah.
I mean, think about this. You have AI algorithms that can scan thousands of medical images like X-rays or MRIs much faster than a human radiologist ever could.
Yeah.
And they can flag potential issues for a doctor to then review more closely. Now, it's not replacing the doctor's expertise, not at all. But it's giving them this incredibly powerful tool to improve accuracy, maybe catch those critical illnesses early on.
Right.
And then you have robotic surgery. Now, again, this is always under the control of the surgeon, but it allows for these incredibly precise movements, less invasive procedures, which can lead to, faster recovery times.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. If you or someone you love needed surgery, wouldn't you want the most precise, least invasive option possible.
Absolutely. Finance, okay, this is a whole other area where AI is making waves. Algorithms that can react in like milliseconds to changes in the market, fraud detection systems that are super fast and accurate, and even automated financial advice becoming more accessible.
Yeah, the financial world is definitely embracing AI in a big way.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, it makes sense, right? Finance is all about data, and AI is like the ultimate data crunching machine. It can identify those patterns and make predictions that would be nearly impossible for humans to do.
Right.
Take fraud detection, for example.
Yeah.
AI can analyze huge data sets of transactions and flag those suspicious activities almost instantly. That's a huge security benefit for everyone, for banks, businesses, and ultimately for us as consumers. Our money is safer because of it.
Okay, so AI is changing how things are made, how we shop, how we get treated when we're sick, how our money moves around the world. And let's not forget transportation and logistics. Self-driving vehicles are becoming a reality, right? And then AI optimizing those complex supply chains so goods get where they need to be efficiently and on time.
Yeah, think about all those deliveries you get, the stuff you order online. That's becoming increasingly reliant on AI to make sure things run smoothly. Mm-hmm. And self-driving vehicles, I know they still have a ways to go before they're, mainstream, but it's a pretty incredible development. Imagine a future where traffic accidents caused by human error are drastically reduced. That's a pretty compelling vision.
It is.
Have you ever thought about, what your commute would be like in a self-driving car? Or how it would change your life if you couldn't drive yourself for whatever reason?
Yeah, it's something I try to imagine, but it's almost hard to wrap my head around how different things could be.
It is. It's a big change. And then, of course, customer service. I mean, we've all interacted with those chatbots and voice recognition systems, right? Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's frustrating.
Yeah, hit or miss, for sure.
But the point is, this is just the beginning. AI is becoming that first point of contact for a lot of companies. And as the technology improves, we're going to see these systems becoming more and more capable of handling our questions and requests.
Makes sense.
Now, the challenge for companies is finding that right balance between automation and, genuine human connection. You don't want to completely eliminate that human element from customer service because sometimes you just need to talk to a person.
Right. I think we've all been there.
What's been your best or worst experience with an AI-powered customer service tool?
Oh, I've got stories. But maybe we'll save those for another time. Okay, so we've talked about how AI is impacting all these different sectors. Now let's get to the heart of the matter. The jobs.
Yeah.
I think this is what a lot of people are worried about, and for good reason. The article talks about both jobs that are at risk due to automation and the new opportunities that are being created. So let's start with the maybe scarier side of things. What are some of the jobs that are potentially on the chopping block?
Yeah, it's a valid concern. And the article lays it out pretty clearly. Jobs that involve a lot of routine, repetitive tasks are the most vulnerable to automation. Mm-hmm. Think about data entry clerks, telemarketers, those factory workers doing the same assembly line job over and over, basic customer service roles. These are the jobs that AI can often do more efficiently, let's be honest, at a lower cost.
Makes sense.
I mean, can you think of other jobs you've encountered that just seem really, really repetitive?
Oh, yeah. Tons, unfortunately.
Right.
And those are the ones that, AI could potentially take over.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, and this is where I think things get really interesting, there are all these new opportunities emerging. I mean, the people who build these AI systems, for example.
Exactly. AI specialists, machine learning engineers, data scientists, all these highly skilled roles are in high demand. And it's only going to grow as AI becomes more and more integrated into every aspect of our lives.
It's a whole new field, basically.
It is. Yeah. And if you have the aptitude for it, it's a pretty exciting field to be in right now.
Right.
I mean, you're literally shaping the future.
Yeah.
And then you have cybersecurity, which is becoming so crucial as we become more reliant on these AI systems and all this data. Someone's got to protect all that.
Right.
Right.
Oh, sure.
And then there are the AI ethics and compliance officers. I mean, this is something the article really highlighted, the need to think about the ethical implications of this technology.
Yeah.
And make sure it's being used responsibly. That's a whole new job category that didn't even exist a few years ago.
It feels almost like, with great power comes great responsibility kind of thing, right? Like, we need people to be thinking about these big picture ethical questions as we develop AI further.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We can't just unleash this technology on the world without thinking about the consequences.
Right.
And it's not just about, preventing harm. It's also about making sure AI is used in a way that benefits everyone, that it's fair and unbiased.
Right.
So these ethical and compliance roles are going to be super important moving forward.
And what about creative fields? The article talks about AI-assisted designers, writers, musicians. I mean, it's not about AI taking over creativity, but more about AI becoming a tool for creative people to use.
Yeah, that's the interesting part. AI can actually help us to be more creative, you know?
Yeah.
Generate ideas, explore different possibilities, kind of push the boundaries of what we thought was possible.
Have you ever played around with any of these AI tools for creative stuff?
I have, actually. I was skeptical at first, but I have to admit, it's pretty amazing what some of these tools can do. It's not about replacing human creativity, but about augmenting it, giving us new ways to express ourselves.
Right.
And it's not just for professionals either. I mean, anyone can experiment with these tools. There are some really fun and accessible ones out there.
So it's not all doom and gloom, right? Even though some jobs will be lost, there are new ones being created, and even existing jobs are being transformed in interesting ways. But the key takeaway here, it seems to me, is that we need to be adaptable. We need to be willing to learn new skills and embrace these changes.
Absolutely. The one constant in the future of work is going to be change. And those who are adaptable, who are lifelong learners, those are the people who are going to thrive. Right. So let's talk about this idea of AI augmented work. Because it's not just about AI replacing us, right? It's about AI becoming this powerful tool that we can use to do our jobs better, to be more efficient, to be more creative.
Right. And the article has some great examples of this, like doctors using AI to analyze complex medical images.
Yeah.